Hey, Sean. I'm here with Aleisha from Heart Avail.
Hey!
So how did you start in music?
I grew up with music. I'm from a family that my grandma was in a trio, and my grandfather played guitar and wrote music, and mom wanted to go to Juilliard, so it's always been something.
What was the grandparents' group?
Country cousins, and it was three cousins that all were in the radio.
Do you play anything?
I played piano.
Okay. Do you write the songs on piano or?
So when I started out, I went to the Falls and I studied music and learned how to write and compose and do all of that. And that's what I was doing when I met Greg, and I was writing just like piano parts and all of that. So now I do the lyrics, and then sometimes I write my own melodies for our songs.
Were you like hitting open mics with a keyboard piano?
When I started out like I Googled the way that bands get found and whatever, and I was just me, so I did radio interviews and did stuff on the radio at first and met up with all these people, and then when I finally found other musicians, I was doing open mics.
So you're living, breathing, and eating music. If you're growing up with it and it's just everywhere and you're assuming everybody else in the world does it, who influenced you to play?
Inspired by Sarah McLachlan and Sarah Brightman, and then when I was in college, it was of course Evanescence, because it was a classically trained female, which is what I am, singing to hard rock music, and that really like sparked me that hey, maybe I can go this route instead of acoustic, because I thought I was just going to end up being like at the piano singing, doing the Tori Amos thing, and then I met Greg and he challenged me to introduced me to all these European bands like Nightwish and Within Temptation, and so I was like, well, that's what I want to do. So
you weren't a hard rock.
I grew up like listening to the Greg Kihn Band and Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and all of that stuff. Joan Jett was badass, and Heart. I wanted to be like them, and so I grew up with all the old awesome rock, and then in the 2000s I got introduced to like alternative kind of music.
Then now the real question. So tell us about Heart Avail.
So
what the heck?
Yeah, so I started out, like I said, I studied music in college, and I did opera, and I did rock, and then I was also in choir, and then I met Greg on MySpace, and I'd actually been playing with another guy and writing, and Greg was like, well, if you're ever interested, let's meet. And so my guitar player had bitched out, and Greg and I met up, and from that day forward, we were like, yeah, we're not going to write with anyone else. And so that's how Heart Avail was formed 10 years ago, was from MySpace,
If I can remember my login, I'll find you guys on MySpace.
Right. We're on there.
And do people friend or anymore? I don't know what.
Oh yeah, actually, it's really popular. No, they do actually. When we talked to Hollywood, they said that MySpace is the one that they like looking at. Same with Europe. That's the one that they like.
So it's you and it's Greg.
Right.
And then
and
it starts in the coffee shops and the open mics and whatnot, right?
Nope, not with Greg.
Well,
I did all that before Greg. With Greg, actually, we just wrote all this music and put it on the internet and just kind of let it sit. And that was in a 5-year period. We just kind of wrote a little bit of music, and we're just he did his own thing and I did my own thing, and I was in some bands, and then we got hit up to play the Knitting Factory. And so I collectively gathered my favorite musicians from different bands and put them together into a band. And when we first started out, we were called Aleisha and Greg, because we were the founders, we're the composers and writers, and we managed the band.
And it just rolls off the tongue.
It does, Aleisha and Greg. But then everybody thought we were a folk band, so we come out with this rock music, and so we're like, we need to come up with a name, and the Heart Avail came from, heart help is what it means, and it was from a song that Greg had actually written, and he was like, what about this name? And everyone loved it, and we just kind of...
So Heart Avail is born.
Right, so about 4 years ago.
And then who is that? So that's you and that's Greg, and...
When it started, it was another drummer, and then we had a guitarist and a bassist, and then, we've gone through... And
then a bunch of Spinal Tap happens.
Right, and so currently it's just Greg, Mick, and I, and we're still looking for a drummer, and so, but we're using backing tracks, which is fine, because we do symphonic stuff, and that's kind of the cool thing right now anyway, so until we find a drummer, that's what we're doing. So we have Hal.
It's... I'm afraid I can't play that.
That's right. That's exactly right. Hal's a little bitch.
Were you shedding people off of lineups just because scheduling? Was it musical incompatibilities? Was it just that guy's a jerk?
A lot of it was, I mean, I'm married to music. I'm committed to it. This is like my life. I don't have a life outside of music. You know, this is all I do, and people don't have that kind of drive. And I'm not a jerk, but at the same time, you know, I expect members to show up on time to practice, and we have a certain amount of time, and you need to come, and we'd have shows, and after every show, someone would just quit because they just didn't want to put in the work to do it. So we would, like, work hard and get these great songs, then someone would quit and you'd have to start all over again. And that's kind of, you know, it's music business for a reason. I run my band like a business. So there is calendars, there's Reverb, there's Facebook. There's no excuse to not know. People aren't patient, and the music industry takes a long time. It's not like how it is. And I've talked to enough labels to know just because there's nothing happening right now doesn't mean they're not watching you, and they are watching you. If you are serious about it and you do it the right way, they are watching you. But people, you know, they think that I can just sit back and I'm going to get signed and they're looking for me. There's no one looking for you. There is literally no one looking for you. I've been told they're not looking for you, but they will watch you once they've met you.
Do you need a label?
I don't think you do. I mean, you can. There's pluses and minuses to having a label. The advantage of having a major label is if you want to be played on the radio, you have to be backed by a label. They will not even look at you to be played on mainstream radio. So when we did our distribution deal, we did a distribution where it was just a distribution label so that we could get our stuff out. So you don't have to have a huge one, but you have to at least have a name because they don't give a shit who you are.
So how do you write with the band? Or do you write independent and bring and present? Or are you collaborative?
So how we do it is we've stuck with just Greg and I doing it just because we know this is what works. We like the sound we have. So Greg will compose all of the parts. That means the drums, the bass, all of that except for mine. Send it to me. Then I do my melody and lyrics, and then we record it together. And now we've actually allowed Mick to have free, you know, range to write his bass parts. But mainly it's Greg's creativity of he sits down and, okay, I have this idea, and spends all this time. Because all of our recordings are done at Greg's. Like, we do everything our own. We've tried the studios a few times. We like the things the way we like them, and it's hard to find someone that kind of, you know, does the way we want it. So that's, how we do it. Greg and I tend to, like, we just connect when it comes to music, you know. We just know what each other will want and want to do, and we are best friends, so it makes it easy. When you throw someone else in there, then you're waiting for their schedules, and you're waiting on all this stuff, and we don't work that way.
So you do all the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
When you write a song, are your songs, are they like deep personal from the depths of your soul things? Are they observational? Are they just outright fiction stories?
Usually whatever's going on.
What do you tend to...
in my life. So, like, when I was severely depressed, a lot of my songs were, you know, about dealing with that, but they're all metaphorical, so you wouldn't know, you know, that's what they're about, but they're pretty, I mean, they're not like, kind of stuff, you know, where
so you don't understand what the allegory is necessarily, but
it was a breakup.
You put your own stuff in there if you want, but I know why I wrote it. I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of, I like music that is open for interpretation. You know, music that isn't just straightforward that you have to think.
Well, I don't want to tell you what the song is.
No,
I don't want you to
think about it.
I just want you to. If it connects, then it connects, and it's going to connect for its own reasons, and that's going to be a better song than if I say. This is a song about a car that drives really fast, and it's just like all the other Van Halen songs that we've done.
I would like to make an emotional connection with my audience. I want them to feel, you know,
So when you've done, you've written the song, and then you've recorded it, and it's finally out. So is that gone? That shadow, that pain, whatever that is that gone, or do you?
I bring it on stage.
Do you live it? Do you live it every time you sing the song?
I do.
Do you live it when you hear it? Like if it comes on in the car?
It depends, but when I'm on the stage, I want my audience to feel, and one of the biggest things that I want to do is connect with my audience. I want you to be right here with me, and if I'm not in that place, you're not gonna be. You know,
I want you to hurt.
That's right. I want you to feel, but I want to.
We all float down here.
That's right. the good musicians, the ones that really make you feel, those are the ones that we really appreciate the most. And that's what I want to do. I don't just want to be a shallow song you hear on the radio and forget about. I want you to remember that. And it was an experience. And so when I'm on stage, I want that to be an experience that you remember, and you remember how you felt, and you remember the connection we had.
So what song do you think best represents or defines the band?
Probably Always. It was the first one we wrote, and it's the one that
if you're going to send somebody out to like go listen to this one song, Always. And this is what the band is, and then if you're with us, come on aboard.
Always would be the one.
That's the song?
Yeah, it's the one, and it's funny because it is the first one we wrote, but it just, every member that's ever played it, the band just always connects on that song, and it kind of is just a representation of who we are as a band. So
if we went back to the teenage, just getting into music, Aleisha, what song have you written now do you think would most blow that kid away? Or
probably the Fight for Life one that we did. But that's the one we did for suicide prevention and awareness. And I think that one would have got me. Because I was always a ballad girl. Like, I loved ballads. And I liked songs that just made me feel something. So I think that would be the one that I'd be like, ooh, this band's awesome. So.
What band do you guys think you're like?
Evanescence, Nightwish.
Ripping off.
Within Temptation. Yeah, we're not ripping off anyone, but that's who we get compared to the most. You know, I get compared to Amy Lee a lot. We also, like, my vocals have been compared to Ann Wilson's before. And, you know, so with, like, those people that do the same kind of stuff that we do. So.
Who do you like on the scene? Who do you love playing shows with, and who would you just like go listen to? Like
Zach
just
Flannery.
I
go see him all the time, and he's my favorite musician, and he's so humble and so incredibly talented that you listen to this guy and you're like, how the hell is he in this scene? You know, he's just and the nicest person you'll ever meet. I love, and getting to play with him was like the highest honor for me. You know.
Tell everybody what's new, what's happening for you guys coming up.
Okay, I'm getting ready to go to Sundance Film Festival next weekend. It'll be my 3rd year, which is super badass. I'm super excited to go do that. And then we are playing a few shows. We're doing St. Patrick's Day, and then tour in June, and the album in April. So lots of cool stuff happening for us.
Where are you guys going on tour?
We're going to do West and East Coast, so we'll do, because last year we did just the West Coast, and this time we're going to do Washington, Idaho, Oregon, California, and then cut across through Texas, and then make it up the East Coast, because we have a bunch of people there that want us to play. So pretty excited. It'll be a month-long tour, so if you want us to come play in your city, let us know.
All right, internet. And that's the whole
HeartAvail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you.
Very nice to see you again.